Welcome to today's episode of Life's Defining Moments, where we explore the pivotal events that shape who we are. I'm Mark, and today we'll be diving into stories of personal growth, transformation, and the moments that define our lives.
And I'm Steve. Whether it's a career shift, a moment of clarity, or the challenges of loss, these experiences mold us in ways we often don't realize until much later. Today, we have two unique perspectives to share with you, mine as a businessman and Mark's as someone who's pursued a career in a traditional job setting.
That's right, Steve. We'll also be hearing from some of our guests who will share their defining moments with us. Those life-changing events that set them on a new path or changed the way they viewed the world. Let's dive into our first segment. Steve, I know you've experienced quite a few pivotal moments in your career journey. What was one defining moment that really stands out for you?
Great question. For me, it was definitely the moment I decided to leave the safety of my 9-to-5 job and take a leap into entrepreneurship. I'd been working for a corporation for almost a decade. Comfortable salary, good benefits, but deep down, I felt unfulfilled. One day I was in a meeting staring at a PowerPoint slide and I just thought, is this really what I want for the rest of my life? That realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I remember driving home and telling myself that if I didn't take a chance on myself, I'd regret it. So I quit my job and started my own business. It wasn't easy, but it was the best decision I ever made.
Wow, that's such a powerful story. I think many people dream of making that leap, but are held back by fear or uncertainty. What was the hardest part for you in that transition?
The hardest part was definitely the unknown, no steady paycheck, no guarantees. But that fear also drove me. It taught me resilience and made me value every small win along the way. I had to learn how to hustle, how to manage my time, and how to pivot when things didn't go as planned.
That's something I really admire about entrepreneurship, the constant growth, both professionally and personally. My journey was a little different. I stayed in a more traditional job path, but there were still moments that defined me, especially moments of personal growth. I remember about 5 years into my career, I was offered a promotion. On paper, it was everything I'd worked for, higher salary, more responsibility. But deep down, something didn't feel right. I was struggling with work-life balance, and this new role would only add more pressure. I had this defining moment where I realized that success didn't have to look like climbing the corporate ladder as fast as possible. I turned down the promotion and focused on finding a role that allowed me to prioritize my mental health and personal life. It was a huge shift in perspective for me.
That's interesting because in business, there's this constant pressure to always push for more too. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that success is about constant growth, but sometimes it's about making choices that align with your true values.
Exactly. And turning down that promotion was scary at the time, but it allowed me to reframe what success looked like for me. It was less about title and salary and more about being present for my family, finding time for hobbies, and doing meaningful work. Now, let's hear from our first guest, David.
David, welcome to the podcast. Could you share with us one of your defining moments?
Thank you for having me. One defining moment for me was when I lost my father unexpectedly. It really threw me into a state of reflection. At the time, I was working in finance, and I'd always defined myself by my career. But when I experienced that loss, I realized life is so short, and I wasn't spending time on the things that mattered most to me. It was a wake-up call. So I decided to leave my job and pursue a career in the nonprofit sector, helping families going through similar challenges. That decision completely changed my outlook on life and gave me a new sense of purpose.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, David. Loss can really bring those life priorities into focus, and it's inspiring to hear how you turn such a painful experience into something that helps others.
It's a reminder that the most difficult moments often carry the seeds of transformation.
After hearing from our guest, it's clear that defining moments aren't always about success or career changes. Sometimes they're about personal growth, loss, or learning to realign our lives with what truly matters to us.
Absolutely. Everyone's journey is different, but the common thread is that these moments challenge us, push us, and ultimately define who we are.